Hello, Miss Miller.
Hi, Maggie. I can't actually see you yet.
I turned the camera on, so, well, we'll hope it works. If it doesn't, we can see you. That's more important.
Well, there's a little blue icon on the left with the camera.
I did.
If there's a slash through it, it means I can't see you.
I did. It says it's not there anymore.
Huh.
So I don't know. Anyway, we'll go ahead. All right. So,
well, hold on, because I prefer to be able to see you.
Okay.
Just a minute. Select always show to always see video and screen sharing from anyone. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's Maggie. All right.
Hi, Maggie.
Okay, talk real loud, like my voice. Okay?
No one can match your voice.
I know that. Go ahead.
Hello, Miss Miller.
Hi. Congratulations on doing this project.
Thank you.
What is it going to be, a report or a video or what? In what form?
I'm actually doing the tri-fold board this year.
Oh, great. Okay. So go ahead.
This year's theme is taking a stand. Describe your decision-making process when you decided to participate in Freedom Summer.
There wasn't a huge decision I had to make because I'd already visited the Deep South and I had seen the conditions of white drinking fountains and colored drinking fountains and white restrooms and colored restrooms. So that had been before Freedom Summer. There were invitations sent out for that. So when I got home from seeing the conditions in the South, I knew I really, really wanted to help change them if I could at all possible. So I just saw a brochure on a bulletin board at my college, and it told about Freedom Summer, and without even thinking, I knew that was something I had to do. So I just applied and was accepted, and that's how it went.
I have seen Freedom Summer described as a black and white stand. Do you agree or disagree with this idea?
Say that again?
I have seen Freedom Summer described as a black and white stand. Do you agree or disagree with this?
Do you know what that statement meant by black and white stand? I don't understand what that means. What that's saying, what you're asking.
Like it was separated, the colors and the whites had different ideas on how they should have taken a stand, I think.
Are you talking about the civil rights workers or the white people in the South versus the black people in the South?
The black and whites in the South.
Oh, they were completely on opposite sides. White people, are you familiar with the term Jim Crow?
Yes.
So that was the conditions in the South. It was completely Jim Crow. There were, everything was segregated. Black people didn't have the rights at all that white people had. And so that's what all the white people felt it should be like. And all of the black people, of course, wanted equal rights. So they were completely opposite positions.
What do you think the political impact of Freedom Summer was?
Freedom Summer, along with then the Selma to Montgomery March that happened shortly after that, was that the Voting Rights Act got passed. There were three parts to Freedom Summer, as you probably know. There were community centers, and there were freedom schools, and then there was voter registration. And the Freedom Democratic Party that went to Atlantic City, have you read about that yet?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of effort put toward trying to help the African Americans in the South register to vote. And then because the Freedom Democratic Party was formed and they went to Atlantic City, the whole country became aware of how black people were not allowed to vote in the South. And so Lyndon Johnson, the president at the time, was very, very much pressured into getting the Voting Rights Act passed, which then things changed quite quickly after that because Black people start voting. They start registering in hundreds of thousands and voting and electing Black officials in their homes, towns. So it had a huge impact on voting rights.
What do you think the social impact was?
Well, for those of us that were there, it was an incredible experience for us, and the fact that we were living and working with Black people who had never had any personal association with white people. It was wonderful that summer, and I think a lot of the people a lot of the African Americans who did get to know those of us who were working there that summer. I think it changed their experience because for the first time in their lives they had known white people who were kind to them and worked with them as opposed to keeping them separate. So that summer affected a lot of individuals personally. Socially and long term, I think things are very different now. Some things are different and some things are not different now. But that part I think is taking longer than the political is sort of you can do something and it can have an effect. The social, you don't really know the long-term effects of it, but things have changed.
Do you think there was an economic impact?
Economic impact. I can't say that I think there was an economic impact.
Okay, we always try to include those in projects when they're there, and of course we don't want to force it if they're not there. So that's
Right.
good to know. Okay.
What were some challenges you faced over the summer as you were in Mississippi?
Well, I was afraid every day. So it was just challenging to go to work every day knowing the dangers. It was real hot. So that was a huge challenge. And it was just, Mississippi in those days, do you know what I mean when I say a third world country?
Yeah, I can have a basic idea.
Third world countries are countries where things are not developed at all the way that we know them here in the United States. And Mississippi, being in Mississippi was like being in a country like that. Things were so backward and so different. And, just being around where white people, especially civil rights workers, had to be afraid of every white person they saw. And it was that way for Black people. They knew that they, have you watched my documentary yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So you'll see in there, but that Black people were, even if they were walking down the street and a white person came toward them, they had to get off the sidewalk and walk in the street. So it was just a constant, for Black people, it was a constant, like living in another world. And so those of us who then joined the civil rights movement, we became in that same circumstance as the African Americans. So it was like living in a foreign country to be there that summer.
When you went through the training before you went, what were pieces of the training that you had that helped you to make it through the summer? What were some of the things that they talked about or they taught you that helped you through those challenges in the summer? Or
Well,
maybe
first,
nothing did.
what?
Or maybe nothing helped you with training.
Well, yeah, I mean, they told us things intellectually. You know, we knew, for instance, if that it was possible we would get beat up, and if that were the case, they trained us to roll up in a ball to protect ourselves, things like that. But that's all intellectual stuff, and of course, for people who were beat up, it helped them because they did the things they were told. But you know, nothing really could prepare us for that experience. It was just it was so foreign, and even the people who organized Freedom Summer didn't know what was going to happen or what it would be like. So it was just a day-to-day, taking it literally one day at a time.
When you, and I hope I have this chronology right, you had gotten to Mississippi before you found out about the three gentlemen being killed, or did you find out before you left?
I was actually in summer school that summer, and so I went down a little bit later than a lot of the students. The three who were killed were missing the very first day, that actually even before the students who were at the orientation in Ohio, they went down, you know, there was that week-long orientation, and then people went to Mississippi. And the students that were at that first orientation learned about the three being missing. And of course, if civil rights workers were missing, you knew they were dead. So it was, even though they had been found, everyone knew. So, but I was still in Iowa in college, finishing up summer school. So I knew before I went down. And of course, when my friends and family found out, especially my friends, just thought I was crazy to decide to go anyway, because we all knew how dangerous it was.
Can you describe to us, I know that Maggie has had an opportunity to go through your diary at Drake, just what it was like for you each day, and what were some of your particular challenges in your days?
Well, I lived with a really wonderful family, and that, you know, I was really fortunate in that circumstance, because a lot of the students worked in much more rural areas, and so they lived, you know, out in, you know, just shacks in the middle of nowhere. So it was very dangerous for them, and you know, many students to a house. There were some students who accounts that I've read and talked to people, is they had to sleep on the floor because the Klan might drive by and shoot through the windows. So if they slept on a bed, they didn't want to get hit by the bullets, things like that. I wasn't in a circumstance like that. I was in a wonderful home with a wonderful family, and they just the woman, her name is Alice. I've since gotten back in touch with her and seen her many times in the last 10 years. But she always fixed breakfast for me, so I was never hungry. It was the going out. You know, I rode a bus to work, and even though since the bus was from the black neighborhood into the black neighborhood, there were a lot of white people on the bus. But if they were, of course, I had to sit in the front and they sat in the back. So it was being at work, because everyone in Meridian, and that's the town I worked in, it was a larger community. Everyone knew that where I worked was the office where the civil rights work was going on. And so just every time I would come out the door, I would be afraid that somebody would be driving by or I did have experiences of people driving by and shouting at us and calling us names and things. So that's what every day was like. But when I was inside the community center, I was just working with the children, and that was wonderful. I mean, other than the heat, we were on a